911, what's your emergency?
Help. I'm being bullied.
You think that's hard? Try standing by Claudette Collins in the face of insurmountable odds. That's hard!
Welcome back to the First Respodcast, guys.
Welcome back, indeed.
It's our canceled edition,
yes,
essentially.
it is.
Because, you guys, last week we each expressed a take. You know, we each picked a side, kind of, on the...
A thing no one should ever do, by the way.
Well, we didn't really do it intentionally. We just expressed our opinions, and then we opened it up. We disagreed, and then we opened it up to the audience. And, ooh, the audience has spoken. And they do not like Ryan Kearns.
Hey, you know what? Lay it on me. I'm a big boy. I can take responsibility for my actions and my words.
For supporting
and the hurt
workplace
that they have
harassment.
Caused. I know it's a very brave countercultural stance, as one commenter put it. And I agree, it is. But you know, I do recognize the hurt that it caused, and I would like to you know, reach out to those people and apologize. So to everyone who was shocked by what I had to say last episode, I just want to say from my heart, you know, I'm so sorry for absolutely fucking nothing. I stand by every word of it. Claudette Collins is a god among men, and Dispatch was never the same. History was made. Bring back workplace bullying. Light an effigy of May Grant on fire to let the children know. Bow to your elders. Bow to Claudette.
Well, that should about wrap it up. Yeah, I think they've heard from you now.
You know, going into this episode, I was actually kind of feeling May this time.
Well, thank God for that. Yeah, I think, and this was kind of part of my perspective last time, was like, well, even if like what we saw in this episode, I thought it constituted bullying, but even if you don't think so, I do think she, you know, her behavior as this storyline continues to reinforce, especially in this episode. I think it kind of disproved something you were saying about like, oh, Claudette, it's not about May, because like she doesn't even know May. She's not, you know, this isn't personal. By the end of the episode, it's pretty clear that it is personal. Like she tells her, you know, I'm so hard on you because I see potential in you. And it's like, well, you know, so it is about May, and she is intentionally treating her differently.
So I was working with the information that I had at the time. Right. And so because of that, I actually think maybe there's like a middle ground here. I'm going to do the whole,
course.
What is that Jubilee or something middle ground thing? I'm going to say, I don't think it started as being about May, but I think it definitely became about May. You know what I mean? But I think as it became more about May, I soured on Claudette because I'm like, girl, no, you're showing your ass. Just do your job. Just do your job. Come on.
I think the last episode kind of included it was sort of subtextually telling us what we needed to know. Like, I think it was supposed to be personal from the beginning, and just because you, in your traumatized from both your upbringing and your awful job you just quit, as someone in our comments pointed out, you sort of inferred perhaps the perspective, not the perspective that the show was like trying to make us identify with. Bro, you're canceled. You're canceled.
I'm real canceled. I feel a bit like I wanted to compile like a list of like the funniest ones, but then I was afraid that it would turn into was Kendall Roy in the limo like reading the tweets and then going like, boo, you know what I mean? Like,
and it's like you don't actually want to be the person who goes on like a I'm canceled tour.
No.
Especially when you haven't actually been canceled for anything actually like that's actually
Can
a
you
big
imagine
deal.
if this is what turned me to like the right wing?
The right wing grifting.
Yeah.
One too many people commented on my podcast saying I was wrong to agree with the character on 911. There's got to be like at least one person in the 911 fandom who's turned to right-wing grifting as a result of fandom drama.
And it's probably Tim Minear, let's be honest.
Honestly, no, that thing on going around Twitter of like one of the directors of one of the recent episodes being like, wow, I'm getting a lot of love from fans. Like, this is so cool. And Tim Minear commenting on Facebook being like, yeah, but they'll turn on you, LOL. It's like, that's kind of embarrassing.
So I should give a little context here. I'm actually a very big fan of Vanessa Williams because I love the Candyman movies, and she's incredible in those. And so because of that, I'm endeared to Claudette right off the bat. And maybe I should have said that on air, but I wanted to stay on the episode itself.
Oh, sure. No, I think that's true. And listen, guys, you have to remember Ryan is a gay man. And
if I see a diva, I'm gonna love her.
Exactly. He had diva-itis.
I did.
You can't always control what happens.
They were having a diva off, and I'm sorry, but Vanessa Williams of Candyman fame won. I'm sorry, May Grant. But at the same time, I do want to say that, like, you know, victim blaming and gaslighting are like real words that have like a lot of connotations with them, and like I think like. I don't think it's necessarily constructive to say that I was victim blaming and gaslighting by enjoying Claudette.
So here's the thing. I think you were technically doing both of those things, but it's sort of like how like those things can be happening and not be that serious, to be quite honest. Like if I'm victim blaming like Buck for if I victim blame
or a
Eddie
fire truck falling on him,
right, or if I victim blame Eddie for that time Buck like broke his ankle on purpose, sprained his ankle on purpose. I'm sorry.
Eddie's ankle shouldn't have been looking so sprainable.
Right, like, because if I were to say, like, well, Eddie's ass is too big and Buck was distracted and it made him do that. Like, that is victim blaming and it is bad, but it's also, like, not a big deal because we're just joking about a TV show.
Well, do people think I'm like this in real life? Do people think that, like, I'll see, a woman getting bullied at work and be like, wow, that's your fault? Like, no, it's fiction.
Ryan, your takes weren't even that hot. You're crazy. You're making that up.
Thank you for saying that. when you try to gaslight, but it's just validation. Thank you for validating my
Well, that's the other thing
teaching.
is, like, you guys have to understand, like, it's gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss for a reason. Like, we can't just, like, sometimes you do have to gaslight a little for the spice of life and to stay relevant, to stay cool, to stay a girl boss.
Yeah, and I need to move on to gatekeeping next because that's the next step.
Yeah, okay, next we're gatekeeping. So we're actually not going to tell you the title of this episode or who made it.
No,
we don't
Jane.
want it to get too
We
popular.
have to pivot because we can't get canceled again. We have to pivot. We have to do manipulate, mansplain, Malewife. You know, that's the next step.
So true. Okay, that can be the theme of this episode. Manipulate, mansplain, Malewife. So today, Season 5, Episode 5, Peer Pressure. This was actually directed by Joaquin Cedillo. I know you thought it was directed by someone else, but it was directed by Joaquin. It was written by Nadia Abbas-Madden. And I know you maybe thought this was a Kristen Rydell episode, but it's not. So
okay, well,
I don't know where you got that idea.
You know what, Jane,
I know more about this
Jane,
than you.
if you wanted to be woke, then you would have pointed out that it was written by Nadia Abbas-Madden because writers are very, they're very underserved in Hollywood and they're often marginalized and pushed to the side in favor of actors and directors. And you would know that if you cared about the issue. So maybe think about that next time you're introducing the episode.
It's funny you should say that because you're actually not acknowledging the fact that Taylor Wong and Stacey R. Rose were both story editors on this episode. So I'm questioning how much you actually are familiar with the material at hand. Hey, will you be my male wife? I don't know how to do male wife I don't know how to pepper that into my conversation.
I'll be your male wife so long as you'll be my girl boss.
Today we're discussing Season 5, Episode 5, Peer Pressure. So, sometimes we feel peer pressured by each other. The important thing is, listeners, we are not getting a divorce. We are still going to keep living in the same household.
Yeah, no Rylover. We're not like them.
Well, yes. You guys don't have to worry. You're not children of divorce. We're still, we're going to be that what's it called?
What?
The,
What?
I've already forgotten the term for our queer platonic lavender marriage.
Yes.
We're going to be your queer platonic lavender parents who should get a divorce, but like we're toxic and we're trying to make it work for the kids, even though that's like a bad decision. And you're just going to have to be in the house while we're fighting.
Yeah, we're just going to have to get you guys to college and then go from there. You know, and if one of us dies along the way, then that's what happens. I should also say I'm also experiencing an interesting case of like light cabin fever right now because the nor'easter storm has firmly set in the Northeast.
Oh, yeah.
And so they're actually doing a really good job of clearing the roads, but there is snow everywhere. And there are times when it feels like there's no way out.
And that's crazy because I'm the one in Minnesota and you're the one having the blizzard.
Anyways, so this episode opens on like a, sort of just scenic shots of downtown LA with like no zoo animals on the loose and also seemingly no civilians on the sidewalk. It's like, where is everyone?
It's the rapture. The rapture, and Buck is at home in the loft.
Getting left behind.
Yes, they're both left behind because they're sinners. Taylor Kelly is getting back from a run, and Buck is always on the damn phone. And Taylor is like, did Chimney text you back? And Buck's like, yeah. He texted me, stop texting me, Buckley. And you're like, ah. But Buck expresses that not only is he sad that Maddie and Chimney won't talk to him, but he's sad because at work, it's like no one is even acknowledging that Chimney is gone. He says like nobody's even talking about him, which at this point I was like, wouldn't it be amazing if it was revealed that Chimney had actually been entirely like an elaborate hallucination of Buck's? He never existed. And that's why no one is talking about him. They're like, Chimney. Who is Chimney?
That's why no one will say how he got the nickname Chimney. That's why no one will say it.
There never was a chimney.
There never was a chimney. Yo, looks to my living room. And so, yeah.
There's smoke filling up my living room because there's no chimney.
And so Taylor is sort of busy winning the award for Girlfriend of the Year over here.
Literally.
She shares this story about this boss that she had when she was getting her footing as a reporter. Every time she came into the newsroom, she had this stank face on her face. And Taylor was very self-conscious about this. And Buck asked, what did you do to make it right? She's like, well, it wasn't me. It was a surgeon. Because she literally had gallstones. She was in physical pain, and I was making it about me. Because I just assumed, in my naive, narcissistic way, that it was all about me. You know what I mean?
Try having gallstones. That's hard. Well,
I'm passing
it
a
is
gallstone
how,
as we speak.
It's funny how this is thematically similar to what we discussed last episode, right? Here's an actual example of, it wasn't actually about me. It was just my boss had a separate problem. And this episode will continue to bring up the theme of being bullied in the workplace. And I actually don't really like some of the things they say about it, but we'll get there. But here introduces our theme of being bullied in the workplace.
How woke would I look if it was revealed that Claudette actually had like gallstones that she had to get surgically removed, and that was the reason why she was being so hard on May, and everyone else would look like chuds over here, and I'm just like the wokest boy,
the least judgmental king.
We need to overthrow this culture of corruption that silences women. Thank you. That
would be great for you if that was what happened. But on the planet I'm living on, that is not what happened. But anyway, that is what happened to Taylor Kelly.
Not in the world I'm living in.
Not in the world I'm living in. But basically Taylor, much like Ryan would have said to May, Taylor says to Buck, maybe not everything's about you. Which is funny because like Buck
is
such
gaslighting.
everything. Yeah, literally. Buck is such a everything is about me kind of guy. Mm-hmm. He's like that Taylor Swift lyric that's like, they say that everything is not about me, but what if it is? He's so that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But anyway.
And Chim is out here like, drunk and grumbling on about how he can't sing. Exactly. But he's like, okay, maybe not everything's about me. Great comedy cut too.
an infomercial saying, "Narcissus, it's all about you." This lame loser is on his couch, like couch rotting, eating junk food, and he sees this infomercial for something called the Narcissus, which is like one of those, I think they do make these. It's like an exercise personal trainer mirror. Where there's like a guy in the mirror telling you to do your workout.
So this guy, like, we have to like set the scene for just how much of a crust king slob he is. He has candy wrappers, Chinese food, sugary cereal everywhere. He goes to pick up pizza, and they don't do the thing of like making him a fat slob who's always eating, that sort of old, tired, cliched trope. They actually make him like a skinny little twink guy with no muscle mass who's, you know, constantly on this crust king diet.
Maybe he has a tapeworm.
Maybe he does have a tapeworm. I admire his metabolism, I guess. But he is feeling this incredible social pressure to get in shape because he's getting this targeted advertisement about Narcissus, and it's starting to get like a little bit like paranoid delusion, like he's seeing it everywhere, until eventually he caves.
He's being gang stalked by Narcissus.
Yeah, and eventually he caves and like buys this, like, you know, I don't know how much it is, $2,000 like personal trainer mirror or whatever.
It definitely has the vibe of like a fancy Peloton, like luxury fitness kind of thing.
Yeah, and it seems that it's like really aimed at like the douchebags who like can't even be bothered to leave their desk to go to Equinox, you know what I mean? And he's trying to do like lunges and push-ups, but he doesn't have any muscle mass, so push-ups are really difficult, which they are when you're just starting out at the gym. Don't worry, bro, you'll get there. The first 2 weeks are always the hardest.
Push-ups because I'm so big and strong.
Can you really?
I can do like probably like 30 or 40.
Nice. Well, this guy, he matches your energy by doing that in sit-ups. He does... We find out 300 sit-ups in a row until
I can't even imagine. I did recently watch this fun YouTube video by this guy who was like, the premise of this video was, can I get fit through Wii Fit? Or what was the Wii thing that was
Wii
like...
Fit, yeah. With the balance board, yeah.
Like you have a balance board. He was like, can I like lose weight can I achieve whatever fitness goals through the Wii Fit? And he kind of did. Like, it does kind of work. And it was actually very similar to this Narcissus model where it's like, you just have a little avatar guiding you through your workouts or whatever. But yeah, there's similar stuff of like, do an insane plank for an insane amount of time. And yeah, 300 sit-ups. I guess this is the bad part about not having like a human personal trainer is like, you know, no human personal trainer would be like, hey guy that's never worked out before, do 300 sit-ups.
Well, the thing is, and this is like a user error thing too, because he like the thing tells him to like take a break and whatnot, and he's like, nah, I'm just gonna keep going, I got this covered. And so like a real personal trainer would step in and like physically stop him from like doing 300 sit-ups on his first time. And this is like an impulse that a lot of people have when they're just starting to work out for the first time. They feel like they have to do everything all at once, completely overdo it, because they want to get fit fast, and they don't have a grasp of understanding that it's like a lifestyle change as much as it is like a workout regimen. And change is like very gradual and happens over time.
But what's really crazy is that this guy does so many sit-ups. He does like the amount of sit-ups that make you shit yourself, I guess, because he like immediately he starts having some kind of stomach cramps.
That's a real thing, by the way. That's a real thing.
I believe it. I believe it. The sit-ups that make you shit yourself.
He reached.
This is why I don't work out, you guys.
He reached the terminal the terminal number, I guess you could say, and he has to run and I guess void his bowels of all of that Fruit Loops. He
has to exercise those demons.
He does.
And he like drops the toilet paper at one point, bends down to pick it up, and suddenly he can't get back up. He's like some kind of he tries to get up and has to bend down again. His muscles are like locked into place. Classic 911 call.
Yeah.
He is stuck on the toilet.
I tell you this, I really wasn't looking forward to seeing this guy, you know, shit all over the place, but we don't go there. Although it is raising our total number of poop related 911 calls. So that's interesting.
Yeah. How many is that now? Like, we've got Tapeworm Guy in season 1. We've got the date with Out the Window Girl, and we've got this, and there are probably more I'm not thinking of.
It's definitely a bare minimum of 3. It's just it's funny that, you know, we've had 3 of them.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the formula of these shows. Is I feel like gross out is like a very common thing they go to for sensationalism. But outside the call, when the 118 roll up, there's this great moment where we can see that Medic Eddie has stepped in to be Chimney's replacement, and as they're entering, Hen is like, just try not to step on my toes. And Eddie says, for some reason, he says this in like a newsy accent, like kind of a Guido accent. He goes, lucky for you, I'm an excellent dancer. So I love that A, dancing Eddie referenced, and B, Eddie breaking into a New York accent for some reason, seemingly involuntarily.
Hey, Crutchy, come break down the door. Robbie,
I'm gonna let nobody carry me, Jack. Yeah, he just
Buck is
he just
explaining
does that sometimes
to Robbie like the mechanics of like why they have to break down the door, because like the hinges they can't just saw off because like there's a security thing with them having to
I'd
be
be
on the
like,
inside.
do you think I'm stupid? Like, oh, I'm a firefighter and I have to bust the door in? Like, why are you telling me this?
This is the mansplain part of manipulate mansplain.
Literally.
Malewife.
Okay, here we have some mansplaining going on. That's check. That's one.
That's one. And Robbie busts down the door, and apparently he does it in like a somewhat sloppy way, in that he leaves a splinter hanging off of it. Buck has some notes for him, and then fucking just shoulder checks him as he walks by. It's like, damn, calm down, buddy.
Yeah. No, Buck is fully in Buck's in evil mode. He's the Claudette of the 118 now.
But at least Claudette didn't shoulder check May. Like, isn't that kind of like
true.
another
That would have been
level?
funny if she did.
That would have been funny.
But Hen and Eddie start attending to Guy who's stuck on the toilet, and you can see that like they're clashing a little. Hen is clearly used to Chimney kind of knowing her every move and like being one step ahead of her, because like Eddie gets on one side of her and she's like, why are you on my side? Like, it's just clear she has her system established with Chimney. There's also a great moment here where like they're working around him, and Eddie is just like, I'm just gonna, and he flushes the toilet. That's an important step though. I would also want to do that.
Yeah. I feel bad for this guy, because like, have you ever flushed the toilet like while you're still sitting on it, and like just a bit of the water splashes up onto your leg, and you're like,
yeah,
fuck,
that's why I avoid that.
Yeah. So we don't do that. Now Hen mentions, because the narcissist thing gets brought up by Bobby and whatnot, and the guy admits that he wanted to get in shape because he feels so much social pressure to work out and be fit and be hot.
Peer pressure.
Perhaps.
Peer pressure, title of the episode.
And Hen's like, it's called Narcissus. Someone didn't read the end of the story. I also have not read the end of the story, so I don't know how it ends. I don't, have you?
Presumably he has a great time being obsessed with himself. He's the guy who like, he would like look in the water at himself, right?
One assumes. I mean, he is the guy that narcissism is named after.
Right.
So
but
it
beyond
has to
that,
be
we can't
related.
really infer much.
Yeah.
So you were saying before we started recording that we should just make up the end of the story, since neither of us actually know it off the top of our heads.
Yeah.
I'll try and be like a good Greek mythology inventor and try and come up with something apt. Maybe like he's looking at himself in the water, and then the water, like, you know, Zeus turns the water into like ice, and then he like falls onto it and hits his head really hard and dies. I think that's what happened.
I think what happens is a fair maiden.
Finally, Hen deduces that this guy must be experiencing a severely pinched nerve in his neck, because like she does a test where she asks him to like raise his hand and keep it there, and he can't. It just flops down immediately. So they're like, we're gonna give you a little morphine, we're gonna get you to the hospital, get you all fixed up. Now outside, Buck is showing Ravi how to take a battering ram out of the truck and put it back in. There's something kind of psychosexual about this, but I won't get into it. I won't get into it. The way he's just repetitively putting his battering ram into in and out of the truck. But then Ravi is like
while
playing around
while Ravi is bending over the stretcher, yeah.
Well, Ravi is playing around with this motorized gurney, and Buck's like, quit playing around with that, Proby, and he does not, and the thing like snaps up in half. And for a second, the way Buck reacts, I thought he had like accidentally snapped like Buck's hand in it or something, and we would get a real cartoon like youch. But no, it's, I guess he's
the
just
Tom
mad that
scream
Ravi
from
did
Tom
that.
and Jerry, that
the Mel Blanc scream, yeah, but no, he's just like, Ravi, damn it, you, I guess, I don't even know like what this is supposed to, like, now that the gurney has snapped like up, folded, you can't ever get it back into working order again, I don't know, but the others radio them, they're like, where's that motorized gurney? And they're like, I guess we'll have to bring something else. This isn't really important. It's just to show
funny.
Ravi having a gaffe in front of Buck.
Well, also, I mean, the psychosexual Freudian readings are off the charts, and I would love to see someone do a video essay about it one day. Maybe Jane, if you have some free time. But in the meantime, yes, we're back with what's his face. And yeah, 300 sit-ups are excessive. They assure him that everything is all temporary, so they're just going to put some morphine to relax his muscles and take him to the ER, and Eddie and Hen sort of bump into each other a little bit.
They're like, I'm running a line. No, I'm running a line.
And Ravi starts admiring the narcissist mirror, which I assume is a precursor to how fucking jacked he gets in later seasons.
Yeah, he probably bought one, but actually used it as intended and got really jacked with it.
Going from twink to twunk,
and funnily
just like
enough,
that.
as they're wheeling the guy out, he sort of looks up at Buck and Eddie and he's like, wow, you guys are pretty jacked. What's your workout routines? Which I file under Buck and Eddie are hot jokes, which is one of my like running notes about 911. So there
Everybody
you have
drank.
it. There's and I guess we could count that under Malewife as well, maybe.
Yeah, I would say so. Like I think on multiple angles, because not only is he male-wifing by looking up at their big strong muscles, but also Buck and Eddie are both male-wifing because it takes a lot of work to be the sort of trophy husband to each other, especially on the job, as they do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love this call.
That's just kind of a given.
And I love it specifically because I live with and go to the gym with someone who it reminds me quite a bit of this guy. My extra special buddy boy roommate, who is also my gym buddy. He sometimes decides to just like push himself way past his limit just to be like, oh, I can do this. And so he's injured himself like 3 different times by just overexerting himself. The first time I remember was when he randomly, I think for the sake of reaching like a clean number, did like 125 push-ups in a row without stopping. And he severely injured his shoulder and his chest in doing so, just from strain. He also has like knee issues to this day because he was going way too hard on the hack squats. He's like, oh, Ryan, look, I can squat 380 pounds and let me do like 5 of them in a row without stopping. I'm like, stop. What are you doing? Stop. He's like, I want to get jacked. I'm like, this is not the way. There's a better way. And he also has lung issues because he was going too hard on the core. So,
damn. This
I
working
know this
out
kind
stuff
of guy
sounds
well.
dangerous. I think we should just all not do it, just in case.
I try to do it in a healthy way. I have never caused a serious injury to myself from strain. I know
But
my
have you
limits.
caused any serious injuries to others while working out?
Only emotionally through mental gymnastics on this podcast. But
very nice, very nice.
But we
well,
go.
then
we
who
go
should
from that
be
call.
who should be doing the opposite of working out, but sort of taking a nice relaxing day? But May and Athena, who are having their mother-daughter mani-pedi day, and it becomes clear that Athena has actually only arranged this to get information out of May, because she suspects that maybe Harry is opening up to May more than her.
And as soon as Athena begins probing, Linda texts May asking her to cover her shift. May's like, no. And Athena's like, why not? You have bills to pay. And May's like, because the Claudette in the room. Athena's like, who's Claudette? May's like, fuck. And reveals that she's been being workplace bullied by this, hot, competent older woman who is basically pointing out in a very detailed way everything May is doing wrong at her job and watching her like a stalker. And
Athena predictably is like, wow, do you want me to do something about it? Do you want me to walk down to the dispatch and give her a piece of my mind and maybe police brutalize her? And May's like, no. I think that would only make it worse, which is very true.
Which it would.
Because she mentions, like, she already, part of her bone to pick with me is that she thinks I'm, like, too young and immature, and, like, mommy coming to help me out is not going to help that perception. But I was more worried about, like, Athena doing something unhinged, like going and holding a gun to her head or stalking her or arresting her on made-up charges.
Well,
but luckily Athena agrees to sit this one out.
Thank God she does, because we know that this is not the week for Athena keeping a cool head, which we will get to. Now, before we get into that, we go to Harry's middle school. Bobby Nash is having a meeting with the principal.
He has to clarify that he's just the stepfather. He's like, no, I'm not Mr. Grant. I'm Mr. Nash. What did the kid do? Mm-hmm. And this principal or whoever is like, listen, we get that Harry has been traumatized, but, we've been trying to be patient, and his acting out has just gotten too severe. And Bobby doesn't seem to know at all what she's talking about. He's like, what do you mean? Like, and she says he's been ill-tempered. He's been like swearing at teachers, and he's even been violent with other students. And she says, it's finally gotten to be too much. We're suspending him for a week. Mm-hmm. Bobby's like, what did he do that was so bad? We get this little flashback moment where Harry punches a kid in the face.
I'm sure that kid had it coming,
They do have the kid. There's no dialogue. It's just a 1 second flashback, little stinger. But they do have the kid making this evil. It feels like they've cast a kid who is typecast as a bully, and they've got him making an evil smirk kind of face.
Yo, this kid looks like he fucking sucks. This kid looks like he deserves to get hit.
This child looks inherently evil. And I think we're supposed to glean that it was probably a bully. But nonetheless, that does not make it okay to punch other children when you're a child, or when you're an adult, obviously. But that's what happened to Harry. He punched another kid, and so we see Bobby walking him out. Harry's like, "You're mad at me." Bobby's like, he's doing the gentle but firm dad thing where he's like, "I'm surprised." It's kind of a "I'm not mad, I'm disappointed" kind of thing. He's like, I can't believe you punched a kid. Harry is trying to be like, oh, he deserved it. But because this is a network TV show, he can't say he's an asshole. So they have him say he's a jackhole, which is not a thing people call each other, I don't think.
Yeah, why wouldn't he just say that he's a pussy? He's a hashtag
or
pussy.
A jackass. You're allowed to, yeah, we know he can say pussy on TV, given season 1. But you can say jackass on TV. Mm-hmm. There's a whole show called Jackass. That might have been on cable, but I've heard them say
imagine
jackass,
if Harry
dumbass
calls
on TV
that
before.
kid an asshole. A jackass, and then fucking Steve-O sues the network.
We actually own the rights to that word.
We have that trademarked in all entertainment media. So, you should have sent us some royalties, please, or we'll have to settle this out of court.
But yeah, he calls the kid a jackhole, and Bobby says, I don't think your parents are going to like that explanation, and I think you should reconsider the language. And it's what language? He didn't use any bad language. That's why, at least put the word ass in there.
Yeah, he had a creative workaround. I admire his manipulation of the English language. Manipulate.
True.
There you go.
Okay, there's manipulate. But Bobby does a little mansplaining by saying, I know that you only had the school call me and not your biological parents because you thought that I would go easier on you. You thought that I would cover for you maybe. But no, I'm not going to tell your parents what happened, but I need you to tell them. And they seem to agree on that.
I love that Harry starts like immediately trying to kiss Bobby's ass, you know, like sucking up to him a little bit, because the crux of this is that he also wanted to call Bobby so that his parents wouldn't find out, and so maybe he could just spend the week like, you know, his school time at the fire station or something, which is such a stupid and naive plan that I totally understand a middle schooler coming up with. It's like, I just don't want mom and dad to find out because they're gonna be so mad. Can't you just stow me away in the
firehouse for a week?
They're gonna take away my Xbox.
It is kind of good foreshadowing, given that Harry will one day want to join the 118. But for now, Bobby's like, no, you still got to go to middle school. You've got to tell your parents about your suspension from middle school.
Yeah, we'll get you joined up by the time season 9 rolls around. Don't you worry, kid.
Yeah.
But you'll also be played by another guy.
And you will be a different person at that point. You won't be played by the same actor.
And you'll have some mad barista skills under your belt.
So true. So true. But in the next scene, May is at dispatch, and she does this weird thing where, like, she does this twice in the episode. I feel like this would have made more sense if they'd given her like a little compact mirror or something, but they don't. They have her on her phone with like the video. She has the camera open on her phone, specifically the video part, but she's not recording. She's just like using it on selfie mode to spy on Claudette, who's like talking to people across the room. I like did not understand what they were going for at first with this, but apparently she's just trying to see what Claudette is doing, and apparently she thinks it would be too conspicuous to just look at her. She thinks it would be less conspicuous to look like she's recording her selfie style from across the room.
And Jamal disagrees. So I just
he
immediately clocks what she's doing, kind of.
Right. No offense to Joaquin Cedillo, but I think this is an odd direction moment. I think I would have executed this differently. Just give her, at most, give her a little makeup mirror that she's spying with. That's much more natural than
because she does even say that she's checking her lipstick before work. Like, it would make sense if it was a compact.
Yes. And I was like distracted by the fact that the phone was like in video mode. Like I thought she was maybe planning to like record evidence of the harassment, but then that doesn't happen. So it's like just distracting. But anyway, Jamal comes over. He's like, "What are you doing?" And she says, I'm checking my lipstick before work. She doesn't even really look like she's wearing lipstick. She looks like she's wearing maybe like gloss, but it doesn't really look like lipstick, but I won't. I don't know.
It could be like sort of like a natural colored. It
could be like a
tone.
Moisturizing lipstick, like a more creamy lipstick.
It definitely has a glossiness to it, but I think she's definitely going for a natural makeup look. I mean, like even like her mascara and her eyeliner understated. It looks like she's wearing some very light eyeshadow, some light blush. But yeah, she's going for more of like a natural makeup look. And so I see what she means, because her Cupid's bow is on point. But it's definitely conspicuous in a way that she certainly, or maybe the director certainly wasn't intending. And when she walks over to her desk, Claudette is immediately all eyes on her, again watching her like a hawk, and May flashes her a little fake smile and immediately drops it before she's even at her desk, and goes, 911, what's your damage?
Yeah, which... Okay. Meanwhile, there is some damage about to happen over by Griffith Observatory, because we've got these two like landscaper guys, an older one and a younger one. And the younger one is like, "Come on, old man. Come on, Mr. Unk over here. Why should we have to like do all of these together to get our big list of work done when we could split up and get it done faster? You know, you only want us to both do these things because you're old and you need help." And the guy's like, "No, they're 2-person jobs." But young guy is like, "No way. We can do all this alone." Throwing caution to the wind.
Yeah. Bad idea, especially because they're, clearly working with heavy duty machinery. They have like a weed whacker, and then we see another piece of heavy duty machinery when this inevitably goes horribly wrong, because May gets a call from 911 dispatch, and it's just a guy gasping. And she's like, "I can hear you. Can you speak? Is there any way you can speak?" And who should immediately log on to the call but Claudette Collins, and starts taking over.
In this loud yellow blazer.
It is a very loud blazer, isn't it? I don't know. It looks good on her as like a statement piece, but I don't see it as like workwear. You know what I mean?
I think maybe, yeah, because she refuses to wear the polo, as we know.
Yeah.
I think maybe they were trying to make her more obtrusive to May by having her be in such a loud color. But anyway, yeah. So this is another place where I would sympathize with May because it doesn't seem like May's really doing anything wrong. It's just a potentially complex call where she has to figure out how to get to this person without them being able to speak. And Claudette just kind of, without asking any questions, without like really telling May anything, like if she does have a problem with the way she's doing things, she just like takes over the call and proceeds to do the entire call herself, like ping the guy's cell phone, get in contact with the 118, whatever. And so I can understand from May's perspective, it kind of just seems like she wants to do her job for her. And as May will later say, it's like not even giving her a chance to show that she can do it.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So this is where my perspective started to shift on this whole dynamic. I know it wasn't the coffee, it was the call, because...
the coffee was crazy.
I know, it really was. But I see this call from two angles, because as someone who's calling 911 and would be in this kind of perilous situation, I would want a steady, cool, experienced hand to like be there guiding me through it. But at the same time, on the dispatch side of it, it's so abundantly clear that what Claudette is doing is inappropriate in the workplace, and it also has an added layer to it because she's taking a learning opportunity away from May. By
she's actively
instead
taking
of
that.
Instructing her through this complex call so that she can grow and develop her own skills. She's just taking the reins and forcing May to watch, which is not constructive in the slightest.
And you can see that now it is more about Claudette's ego than like actually teaching her anything.
Exactly. I said at the top of this episode I was really feeling May in this episode, and I'm like, yeah, I really am. I want to make that abundantly clear to our listeners.
Wow, moving the goalposts much?
I know.
No.
I'm literally moving the goalposts, and I'm sure there's a man of straw to be found in somewhere in this episode, but
somewhere in here, but
whatever.
Who's not made of straw because he's bleeding real human blood is this guy over here who's somehow, it's our young guy, young, to evoke a different Greek myth, our kind of Icarus figure over here who has flown too close to the sun. And by the sun, I mean the tree that he was trimming with a giant chainsaw, because as a result of not having a buddy with him, buddy?
Hey, well, it is Eddie who responds, who finds him first.
As a result of not having Eddie or his old colleague with him while doing a job with dangerous machinery, he somehow got a chainsaw to the neck, and you can imagine is pretty gravely injured due to that fact.
Claudette. So here's the thing: Claudette is very good at her job. She's excellent at her job, and this is known, and no one is disputing this. And this is why I say, when I'm in this guy's situation with a literal chainsaw coming out of my neck, barely holding enough pressure to keep me from dying on the scene before first responders get to me, I would want to have someone who is efficient and is listening for voices through the call itself, even when they're not radioed in, to sort of triangulate my position. But the thing is, May could have also done that, and that's truthful, so. What?
And it's not this guy knows any of that. He doesn't know the dynamic between. He doesn't know that May's inexperienced. Whatever. Another detail of this scene is that Ravi gets squeamish about it. He has to step back and can't work on the call, which of course only adds to him looking like a little loser bitch pussy in front of Buck.
Imagine,
which is bad.
I think he was actually thinking about imagine if he was doing some landscaping on one of his properties, and this happened to one of his tenants, and they weren't able to pay rent,
wow,
and he started throwing up because he's like, oh my god, I would lose so much money.
Oh, I thought you were saying that he was imagining this happening to him if he ever tried to do yard work on any of his properties, so that made him think in his head, oh, I need to stop doing maintenance for my tenants because it'll only result in bad things happening, so I'm not going to respond to any of their maintenance requests.
Right. Probably that as well. But where does he throw up in that?
Now, as they're driving away, Hen is like, don't worry, we're going to drive very carefully. And she looks right at Eddie, who's in the driver's seat. So it's like, Eddie, there's a little peer pressure on Eddie not to hit any potholes that might dislodge the chainsaw blade in this guy's neck.
Wait, I'm sorry. Did you miss the part where Buck unscrewed one screw and disassembled a chainsaw just like that? It was really manly and impressive.
I guess I did kind of miss that.
Damn.
That was him being Malewife, though.
Exactly. It was domestic. It was domestic AU.
But at dispatch, Claudette very rudely says to May, there's no shame in asking for help. Which is so stupid because she didn't need to ask for help. Again, it's like Claudette didn't even give her a chance to start dealing with the call. She just came over and took it over.
That's so the thing.
I'm still Team May. I'm still in the right.
I am Team May as well. But just guys, remember the alternate universe where Claudette had gallstones and I was the wokest man alive.
Right, and in that alternate universe, you would be very vindicated.
Thank you.
But
Thank you.
May is back at home with
Harry,
what,
Jane?
And
you know what, Jane? I don't want to live in that universe because no of all the places I could be, or whatever Michelle Yeoh said in Everything Everywhere All at Once, I'd rather just be here with you doing this show.
But May is back at her apartment,
angrily pouring the Brita.
Angrily pouring the Brita filter, because she's like, damn, this Claudette bitch pisses me off. Mm-hmm. And, like we just said, I could have saved him if she let me do my job. She didn't even give me the chance. Harry has taken a very, standing up to bullies stance. He's like, she only does that to you because she knows you'll take it. You need to stand up for yourself. And May's like, I don't know if I should be taking advice from somebody who just got suspended from school. Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, May gets a text and she goes, did you tell Mom and Dad that you were coming over here? And Harry says, no. Why? May opens the door. All three Nash Grant parents are in the doorway. It's bad. Didn't tell. Harry recently kidnapped Harry, didn't tell anyone where he was going. Kind of not a thing you can do when you're a recently kidnapped child.
Yeah, and obviously Michael and Athena
he hasn't
are
told the parents.
Yeah.
He hasn't told them that he got suspended yet.
Well, Bobby had to, because Harry didn't tell them.
Yeah.
And so they think that he ran off, and they're pissed. They're mad. And they're trying to be like, oh, we know you're going through a lot. Just talk to us and et cetera. And they're hitting this wall because Harry doesn't want to talk to them because he doesn't feel like he can talk to them. He doesn't feel like he can be honest. And Michael says, I don't want you to be disrespectful when you talk to us. He's like, fine. Are we done? Etc.
Not only won't talk, but then kind of starts actively talking back. And Michael and Athena are getting mad. They're like, well, we don't want you to be disrespectful. And Harry just gets more disrespectful. And finally, he starts taking out some of his anger that we had heard he was harboring against his parents. He's like, Dad just stood there and let it happen. And Jeffrey was only there because you let it happen, Mom. You were too busy being a cop. You don't care about being a parent. You just care about being a cop. And low-key, I thought he was kind of right because we saw in the Rage episode, the whole thing is that she won't even take her own family's side if it means going up against the police. So I don't think he's entirely wrong here. But finally, Harry's like, Jeffrey was right about you. You're a terrible mother.
And that's a line too far. Athena.
This is so upsetting to Athena that she reaches out and she hits him in the face.
Right in the face, her own kid. And everyone's like,
yeah.
It's like that show, The Slap, starring Zachary
recoils.
Levi. Not Zachary Quinto.
I also was going to bring up The Slap. Do you guys remember the show, The Slap?
God.
I had misremembered that this was adapted from an Israeli series of the same name. No,
was it really?
An Australian.
It was
series.
Australian, right? No, you're thinking of Euphoria.
Yeah,
that was adapted
wrong.
from an Israeli series.
I was thinking of Euphoria, yeah. So The Slap, I just remember, everybody remembers, the promos for this show.
Where he just hits the kid.
It's become something of a meme because it just has this incredibly, overwrought, melodramatic tone to it where it's not about I am kind of curious about what happens in The Slap because the whole concept is I don't know, they're at a family party and some adult slaps a kid who isn't theirs. Not that not that like you should slap kids that are yours, but I think that's part of the dimensions of it.
Oh, I thought it was
like,
his kid.
About...
Is he not his kid?
No, I think it's someone else's kid.
Oh wow.
But anyway, it's like and it's Peter Sarsgaard who slaps the kid. Honestly,
I thought it was Zachary Quinto who slaps the kid. I thought it was Zachary Quinto. Yeah, it's in the American show. It's Zachary Quinto who slaps the kid. And oh no.
Oh, okay.
Wait.
No, I got mixed up because their names are Harry and Hector, and they have the same last name.
Yeah. Okay. So Zachary Quinto is the guy who killed Brian Cox.
Yes, Zachary Quinto is the one who hits the kid.
Brian Cox, Lucas Hedges, Victor
it was
Garber.
A star-studded.
Narrated by Victor Garber. Uma Thurman.
See, that's like kind of the other funny thing about it, I feel, is this was 2015, so this was kind of right in the bridge between... I love that this is a podcast about the slap now. Sorry, guys. This was like right on the cusp of that transition kind of between network TV being the mainstream thing and like streaming prestige TV being the mainstream thing. So I feel like this was an early attempt, like this was a miniseries, so I feel like this was an early attempt at a prestige miniseries, but still on a big network, obviously.
Yeah.
But it was like a little too, that style of like really melodramatic overwroughtness was like still too new, and the concept was like a little too, they were just kind of, it was a little too in your face, and it results in something kind of silly, I think, looking back at the promos and the concept and stuff. Anyway,
it's also got Penn Badgley as Jamie, Anouk's much younger actor boyfriend.
Ooh,
Anouk is the Uma Thurman character. So if you want to see Uma Thurman and Penn Badgley get it on while Zachary Quinto slaps a kid that isn't his, then stream the slap.
Well, I'm intrigued now that I know it stars Peter Sarsgaard. I do like Peter Sarsgaard.
What do I know him from?
The two main things I know him from
Boys Don't
are
Cry.
A movie I saw at the London Film Festival called Memory, and that horror movie with Kate Hudson. It's about like voodoo. What's it called?
What?
You know what I'm talking about.
Wait, who is he in the Batman?
The Skeleton Key.
Has
anybody else seen The Skeleton Key, starring Kate Hudson and Peter Sarsgaard?
You know, you'll be shocked to learn I have not actually seen The Skeleton Key.
It's not very good, but it's not terrible.
Apparently,
anyway, he does like a southern accent in that movie. Anyway, I know him from two things, but I've decided I like him.
He was also apparently on Broadway playing Boris in The Seagull in the 2008 revival. So that's one for all my Chekhov heads.
Now this is also a podcast about Peter Sarsgaard. Peter, come on the pod.
Come on the pod, please.
All this to say, this is an emotional moment, and it's pretty bad, right? Like we are against corporal punishment, I would say. And yes, this is a shocking moment for Athena, and it's interesting. It's another one of those things that, like, in real life, I might not find this redeemable, but given that it is a TV show and I know it's there for the drama, I'm kind of okay with it. Not like okay with it, but I'm okay with it happening to be drama. And I do think, like, I can see this for Athena, right? Like, her kind of temperamental and, like, being a cop, like, violence does beget violence. You can kind of see her maybe at a low point, slapping one of her kids. And it's I'm gonna
be so honest. Yeah. I hate this for Athena. Because
I mean, tell me about it. What's your take?
Like, I don't see I don't see redeeming from this. I mean, you hit your kid, dude. Fair.
It's like I said, I think, like, in real life, I agree. It's just like, because it's a TV show, I'm sort of taking their framing of it. But yeah, I generally agree.
I know I'm like being selective again, but I maybe. Well,
you can excuse workplace harassment, but you draw the line at hitting children. Actually, that kind of makes sense.
I do draw the line at hitting children. I controversial take, I know, but right. I don't know. Like, what Harry said out of line and cruel and born of anger? Absolutely, but. I mean, Athena has a lot of flaws, but, like, this really takes the cake.
True. And also, like, I get that it's a TV show and things move kind of fast, but I feel like at this point they should be affording Harry enough, like, leeway and understanding still to understand that, like, this is one place where I feel like they haven't gotten far enough in their therapy, surely, because, like, I feel like they should understand that Harry's gonna say stuff he probably doesn't mean, or perhaps that, as she suggests later, perhaps that was even, like, planted in his mind by Jeffrey. So it just seems like, yes, a very immature moment where Athena's definitely letting her, like, immediate feelings get in the way of what's obviously actually going on. Like, I can't really imagine, like, looking at this very young child saying something out of character for him and being like, wow, he really meant that. Like, I've got to really lash out.
There's something particularly sinister about it, too, which is that, you know, after it happens, the camera stays entirely with Athena. We just see Harry run out and Michael run after him. And then we stay entirely with Athena and her reaction to it. And then the next scene is just entirely Athena and Bobby.
Yeah,
and
true.
We don't see any of the emotional fallout from Harry's point of view. It's just entirely Athena sort of downplaying it a little bit in her mind. And also... like, it feels reminiscent to me of, did you ever see that movie The Dirt, about Motley Crue? There's a scene,
I did not.
There's a scene where rock drummer Tommy Lee of Motley Crue fame hits his girlfriend at a very famous incident that was a huge sensation in the tabloids and whatnot. It was a big thing. It didn't end his career by any means, but it was a whole thing. And the Dirt is supposed to be about the dirt on Motley Crue, and here's Tommy Lee, played by Machine Gun Kelly, hitting his girlfriend, and the camera stays entirely on him. And his shocked reaction to what happens while she's there on the ground, out of frame, and you see one little shot of her looking back up at him, and it's entirely the entire scene. The fallout of it is focused on him, his perspective, his reaction, and it gives this impression that the film kind of hates women. This scene. I'm not saying that this scene hates kids. What I'm saying is that this scene loves cops.
It loves cops, and it's definitely not really engaging with the humanity of Harry, at least, the child in this particular situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, the point of view here does say something.
I really did not like this moment, nor the immediate aftermath of this moment, because as we see in the next scene, Athena is back home with Bobby, and the first thing that she says in the follow-up scene is, "I can't believe he said that." It's like, we know, girl, you hit him over it.
Can't believe you hit him. Yes, I did think watching this scene, like, this feels like downplaying it a little bit, because she does have this line where she's like, he looked at me like I was a monster, and maybe I am, but they don't really dwell on that. It's just like, it's interesting. She has this almost kind of conspiratorial thinking about it, where she's like, Jeffrey must have planted all these thoughts in my son's head. And it's not that I think that's not possible, but it does feel like maybe her way of not really wanting to engage with what's actually happening, or like even kind of the personhood of her son. She kind of seems like she wants to believe that any animosity from Harry is just because Jeffrey, like, brainwashed him. Whereas,
how
like,
revealing of the way that she thinks about her children.
Yeah, I think in reality it's a lot more complicated than that.
Yeah. How revealing. Because, like, we saw an element of this with May, with sort of the control that she exerts over May's life, or at least used to in the past. And the dismissiveness with which she treated all of May's life choices. But like, it's becoming abundantly clear that when she can't make sense of her children or what they're going through, she hits this wall of cognitive dissonance, because she does on some fundamental fundamental level believe that they are an extension of herself, right?
That's true. It's kind of like when May wrote the essay, and Athena had that condescending line about, like, you're still figuring out who you are, like, implying that, like, I know you think the wrong things now, but one day you'll come around to seeing it my way. Like, Here, like, she couldn't really believe that those were May's earnest thoughts and feelings that, like, meant something. And here, she can't really believe that Harry's thoughts and feelings might have a foundation in something other than just, like, being brainwashed by, like, a Manson-style criminal. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Bobby brings up, like, or she says, like, I hit him, and Bobby's like, yeah, you did.
And then she immediately jumps into it was Jeffrey, and we don't stay on the fact that she hit him. She hit her kid.
Yeah, and I'm not saying this entire episode. I kind of do like, there's more later that I think tries to really get Athena to have more of a wake-up call, so I appreciate that. But yeah, in this scene, it feels like Athena and kind of Bobby are focusing a little too much on, like, it's okay, he'll get over being so mean to you right now, instead of, like, the idea of, like, should we address my behavior and why I reacted that way and what I can do to sort of reach out to him and get, like, communicate with. It's like Harry's barely even a part of the conversation. It's just like, I can't believe they end the scene like, I can't believe Jeffrey is still in my life like this, and it feels like he's winning.
Yeah, this is definitely the least likable Athena has been in a while. And I square it all entirely on the decision to have her hit Harry, because the writers were not equipped to deal with that. I think that they just should not have done that. And there is, like, probably an element of violence that has been kind of underscoring this entire season so far, and it's starting to spill over into uncomfortable territory.
That's true. We've never had a character punch another character until the last episode. We've never had a parent on the show hit one of their kids until this episode. That is interesting.
Yeah, and it's
Kristen Rydell, a pro domestic violence showrunner. That's how they would spin this on Twitter.
And the precedent, of course, is set by, beginning this episode by exhuming the Jeffrey storyline, or beginning this season by exhuming the Jeffrey storyline.
Yeah.
And so I hope that trend doesn't continue going into the season. And again, like, we weren't anti-Chimney hitting Buck in the face, because that's a different thing, because they were both adults.
Because Buck deserves it.
And Buck deserves it. He deserves to get hit all the time. And speaking of, because then we hard cut to another scene of Drill Sergeant Claudette Buck yelling, "Proby! Proby!"
He is, you guys have to understand,
chainsaw.
Buck is rampaging around the station holding a chainsaw, yelling for Ravi. I would be scared. Raise your hand if you were scared.
I wrote in my notes, Buck is going to kill Ravi with a chainsaw.
No, like, we can only assume that that's what he plans to do. Hen is sitting there, like, reading a book, and she's like, oh, silly Buck, this is what it's come to? And Buck's like, come on, like, I gotta show him around. I want to show him how to disassemble one of these. And it's like, sure you do. Mm-hmm. Sure you're not trying to slash him to death with your chainsaw. But anyway, he runs off with the chainsaw. Hen looks around, she gets an inkling. She goes to the captain's office, where Bobby is not, because presumably he's at home making excuses for Athena, and she kind of turns on the light. She's like, anybody there? Okay, like, I'll leave. Turns off the light, and then who should pop up from under the desk but Ravi, who was burrowing under there like a little hamster. He's like, oh, hey, Hen, didn't realize you were still here.
Is he even allowed to be in here when Bobby's not in here? I feel like...
Well, we find out that he's hiding. He's hiding from serial killer Texas Chainsaw Buck.
I just wonder, like, on paper, is this, like, I don't know, a code violation in some way? Because, like, he could be...
I'm sure Buck will find a way to make it into a code violation.
Yeah, that's true. I thought he was rooting through everyone's files, trying to dig up dirt on us or something.
Clearly, we can't trust him.
Robbie comes back and he's like, you're on blood thinners. Should you even be working here?
Ravi was hiding from Buck. We realized he didn't even know there was a chainsaw. Hen was like, don't worry, I won't tell Buck and his chainsaw. Ravi's like, there's a chainsaw? Mm-hmm. And he's like, at the beginning, Buck seemed so nice, but now he's like a drill sergeant from hell. And this is an interesting scene as well, because in my opinion, I don't think this is as bad as Josh, like, gaslighting May about the Claudette thing, but I do think this is another scene that brings up an interesting thing in regards to workplace harassment, because Hen kind of comes over and sits down, and with this gentle tone, she's like, listen, Buck is going through a lot. He, feels like his one family has imploded, so now he's trying to cling on to his remaining family, the
Klingon.
118.
Oh my god, Buck is Klingon. He speaks Klingon.
Buck is Klingon. And he wants to make sure that
Klingon name
you're
would be
like
Barf.
fit for the job, that you're worthy. And she's like, I think you're worthy. And I just have to say, I think that this is kind of a bad response to what's going on here. Much in the same way that I think your response in the last episode saying that, it's not personal, so May should just suck it up. I think that telling Ravi it's not personal, Buck is just struggling, so he needs to bully you right now. I think that's also a bad answer. Like, no, this is a workplace. Like, this stuff just shouldn't be allowed to happen. You can't just let it happen because you know Buck and you know that he's really sad right now. It's like, no, this is when you, Hen, the person with more power than Ravi, should go to Buck and say, hey, stop chasing him around with a chainsaw. He's your coworker. You have to, be civil to him.
Jane?
That's what I would say.
Permission to mansplain for a second?
Sure, but only if I can manipulate you after.
That's okay. I consent. This is the difference between Buck in this episode and Claudette in the last episode. Claudette is divalicious.
Oh, okay.
Buck is not divalicious.
Objection. The implication that Buck is not divalicious?
In this moment in particular, Buck is enduringly viscerally sexy, walking around murderously with a chainsaw and his guns out. Don't get me wrong, but there's a difference why we side with sweet baby boy Ravi in this moment versus why I took the brave countercultural stance of siding with
that May
Claudette.
Is not sweet baby girl May.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if Claudette had been walking around barking with a chainsaw, yelling for May to come out of her hiding spot, I probably would have had a different reaction.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying they're exactly the same, but I'm just saying from my perspective, it's kind of, Hen's response is kind of wrong for the same reason. I think just because in maybe a social situation you sometimes put up with certain things, or if you were in school maybe, I think in a workplace, and this is kind of my thesis for this whole episode, because by the end we have this interesting message. I'll get into it later, but by the end we have a message I don't quite agree with. I think in a workplace you actually do have to have a zero tolerance kind of policy about bullying, and you can't just tell the victim of that bullying to be well, you have to understand it's who this person is, or you have to, you just have to wait it out, or you just have to stand up for yourself. It's no, I think it's on the people with power in that situation to tell the person who's being a problem to lay off, that they just can't do that. So I don't really like how Hen says, you have to understand Buck is a little wounded baby bird and he needs to take it out on you right now to find out if you're worthy. I actually think this is kind of more ridiculous than the May situation in the last episode.
No, it is. It's objectively more ridiculous. And I'm going to shock the entire audience by saying something that I've never in my professional career as a 911 podcaster said on the air. Jane, I agree with you.
Oh my god, you guys, we were divorced, but now we're reconciling.
We're reconciled. We're not even hitting the kids.
Okay, we would never. We would never. We are gentle parents. But anyway, we cut to a different 911 scenario.
Oh my god.
Start at this luxury retirement community, like one of those rich people retirement homes.
It's called Shady Crest. The Shady Crest retirement home.
Two aging couples.
Sounds like a retirement home would be called in a RuPaul Netflix movie or something. The Shady Crest retirement home where Granny Rue is saddled up in her, I don't know, in her slippers. And
good one, Ryan. So we've got
thanks,
these two
Jane.
aging couples. We've got these two aging couples at this luxury retirement community. They're getting their meds, and we get the sense that they are sort of in financial and appearances competition with each other, because
they're having a heated rivalry.
Both women, Yes, they're having a heated rivalry. Honestly, these two women should have gotten together because these two women, they're both kind of iced out. They've got like the one woman has like the big diamond necklace, and the other woman has this beautiful bracelet on, and the woman without a bracelet is like, "Whoa, where did you get that? It's beautiful." And she's like, "Oh, this is my new like." This is my new everyday piece.
It's a Cartier white gold bangle with real diamonds in it. It looks to be...
I don't think it is. I think she's saying, the other woman is saying that's the one she wants, is the Cartier bangle. This one, the bracelet the other woman's wearing isn't a bangle, I don't think, because it's like a bangle has to be stationary, I think.
Oh, no,
This
has
movement to it.
You are right.
Oh my
God, Jane was right. Jane was right like twice.
I don't really know, but from what I understand, a bangle has to be like, this is more of I think this is just a regular bracelet. But it is diamond encrusted and it is beautiful. And she's like, "Oh yeah, that was just my rich husband's impulse buy for me." So the other jealous woman turns to her husband and she's like, "That reminds me of the bangle you and I were looking at, the Cartier." And the husband's like, "What? I don't know what you're talking about. I hate my bitch wife."
Okay, but she's saying all of this like there doesn't need to be a special occasion. Luxury is luxury, and you're wearing these hideous like metallic drop earrings. Or they're like these button earrings, and it's like, girl, you need to start with the ears. You need to like some nice like pearl or like diamond earrings on there to like really, even something a little more understated.
Yeah, you can tell. I mean, maybe they've styled them intentionally, like to show that this woman, for all her trying, is never going to catch up to the woman she's jealous of, because the other woman is wearing this nice like tasteful black shirt, like sweater with the ostentatious jewelry actually like goes with that, versus the other lady's just in her like casual, like her button up and her like fleece jacket or whatever, and it looks out of place with her ostentatious jewelry. Even she has no taste.
And she has no like it's all about like wearing everything that you have to show that you have it, rather than putting something
instead
together.
Of choosing tasteful pieces that go with the outfit.
Very
so clearly the other one's winning this competition, and she's not even trying.
She's the
anyway,
the Shane Hollander of this heated rivalry, and the other ladies over here like the Ilya, like, "Oh, I got like some early success, but now I'm just constantly trying to catch up to you, and I hate you."
And maybe just like Shane and Ilya, they would figure this out if they just decided to get fuck nasty one of these days.
Exactly.
But anyway, the husband expresses his hatred for his wife because he's a boomer man, I guess. And also we hear from two of the employees at this nursing home, somebody's like, "Hey, orderly, can you go check out the basement? We've been getting complaints about a foul odor down there." This is such a like runaround call. You're kind of like wondering where this is going.
Yeah.
But suddenly
it doesn't go where you think it's going to go, by the way. It really doesn't.
Man who hates his wife starts looking kind of alarmed, and he starts heading for the basement as well. And so orderly and old guy are both headed for the basement. The orderly's trying to like unlock the chapel door. They get in there, and the old man like checks on this like a few containers of seemingly bottles of chemicals that have spilled, and he's like, "Oh no, this isn't good." Orderly comes in, turns on the light switch, which leads to the chapel chandelier sparking, emitting all these sparks that go down to the presumably highly combustible chemicals, because a big explosion happens, rocks the whole dang Shady Crest place, and
checkers flying everywhere. And an old lady looks at the camera and she goes, "Felix, what did you do?" And it's a very camp way to start a call. And I like how many layers there are going into it. It does make it confusing at the top of like what's happening, but then like the ultimate reveal of what's happening is actually very funny to me. The 118 rolls up, so and like nobody knows what's going on. They
mentioned that there's an explosion in the chapel, and then you get Eddie going, "Chapel?" And I was like, oh my God, we need to clip this for like, if you ever have like a tweet about Chapel Roan and you want Eddie Diaz reacting to it, everyone on Twitter, just that's your cue.
Why did the 118
Eddie Diaz going, "Chapel?"
Why did the cast do the Apple dance? Why couldn't they do the hot to go dance? We could have used this like promoting this episode.
It's because they're homophobic. It's time for us to acknowledge that.
Yeah. Yeah, especially Peter Krause, who didn't even want to learn the apple dance. He just held an apple while everyone danced around him. Aisha Hines
he
got
probably
really
knew
into
he was
it.
on the way out. He was like, why should I invest in this?
Yeah.
If they're about to kill me off. But anyway, they get into the nursing home. Oh, first Buck yells at Ravi for like taking the wrong hose out of the truck.
Mm-hmm. It's the 1 3/4 hose, apparently. Beverly meets them at the door, and they make their way downstairs because they don't really know what's going on. So they find the orderly and the old guy. They're pinned under some wood and rubble and whatnot. Buck
it's
and
kind of funny. The
Ravi,
orderly is buried under like an extremely heavy, like an entire church pew.
Yeah.
And they try and like ask him like, hey, what's your name? Or no, they say like, oh, you must be this guy. And he like can't talk because he's got an entire church pew on top of him.
Yeah, and then they take it off of him, and he has like this he has a wooden stake sticking out of his gut like he's a vampire.
Yeah, he's gotten Nosferatu'd.
Now Buck and Ravi are pouring water onto the electrical chemical fire, which is interesting, but they don't know that that's what it is yet. So they're just like, why isn't this water working? And then they get the old guy, and the old guy, he has some like a dislocated hip or a broken hip or something like that, and so it's going to take some morphine and some field stitches or whatever, courtesy of Eddie Diaz, to get the guy able to move. And Eddie is not the most efficient field paramedic that they have. You get the impression that Chim would have had this guy patched up a little bit quicker. Meanwhile, Hen is powerless to stop this orderly from bewilderingly pulling the stake out of his gut completely unprompted.
He just sort of deliriously grabs the stake and yanks it out of himself, which of course you are not supposed to do, because then he starts bleeding uncontrollably. So now she's got to try and stop the bleeding. Meanwhile, Ravi and Buck are blasting the fire with their water, when suddenly Ravi realizes the fire is reacting to the water. We need CO2, not water. And Buck's like, it's such a it's almost like an anime moment where Buck is like, I've been upstaged by my little guy I like to bully.
I just sneezed. I'm so sorry. But yeah, Ravi pulls the Uno reverse card and he goes to get some CO2. And it's very Buck's intense.
Like, wait for me.
Buck's getting sent to the Shadow Realm or whatever. Yeah. And so they basically, it's just this long protracted moment of they're trying to patch up the guy, they're trying to stop the bleeding. Ravi comes in with the CO2 like Christ himself, douses the flames as they're getting them ready to go. They get everyone out of there, everyone lives, and Ravi's the hero, deserved, and they discover the source of the fire beneath one of the pews. And it is revealed that what is actually happening is that older gentleman Felix was paying for all of the luxury swag for his wife that he hates by running a meth lab out of the basement chapel. Chapel? We have fun. Chapel.
We do. He starts just like confessing to it outside of as he's being put away in the ambulance. And it becomes clear that his wife was in on it. She's like trying to cover it up. And finally they kind of admit, like, you see that couple there? I forget their first names, but their last name is actually Jones. And so they're like, we spent our whole lives keeping up with the literal Joneses, because they've always been jealous of them and trying to one-up them. But clearly they don't have the effortless love that the Joneses have between them. Clearly they don't have the effortless style and taste. So really, they just got totally... I wrote in my notes while Ravi was figuring out the fire, I wrote, Buck gets totally firefighter mogged by the younger, more beautiful Ravi Panikar. And I guess you could say that here, this couple has been totally mogged by
they've been
the more loving, more rich, more effortless couple.
In their efforts to out glam mog their heated rivals, Felix's meth maxing turned out to bite him in the ass. Yes, indeed. Now,
just to put it in terms we can all understand.
I mean, they do keep saying, like, they do have this, like, projected thing about, like, you know, Felix doing bits and whatnot, and they keep calling it a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this is, like, the 2026 equivalent of that. Yeah,
Right.
It's just a funny little call involving devastating meth explosion that uncovers horrific psychosexual wealth rivalry between these two lifelong
Yes, it's a
family
tale of
friends.
obsession.
Yeah, it's a tale of obsession. It really is. And everyone is laughing about it. And Buck goes over to Ravi and he's like, Proby. And Ravi's like, what now? Smiles. And Buck is like, you saved the day. Good job. You're ready. I love you. Let's fuck.
Yeah.
They're all covered in soot. It's very, very steamy. Very beautiful.
Sadly, we just kind of cut away, so we'll never know if they did just kind of fuck it out right there. But back at the station, Buck is looking like the sad dog who peed on the floor because he's calling Maddie and he's going straight to voicemail. And in fact, he's gone to voicemail so many times that he gets the message that the mailbox is full and not accepting new messages. So presumably that must mean that Maddie's not even listening to the messages.
I mean,
Pretty
if you
sad.
get that many messages, are you going to listen to all of them? It's just like probably the same version of the same thought, right? It's like, Maddie,
True.
pick up your phone. Maddie,
But you won't even, like, empty
I'm
the mailbox.
worried.
Anyway,
Well, have you ever been
he
so
then
depressed that you're looking at your, like, it's like just some, like, random menial task, and you're like, I don't even have the energy to empty my mailbox.
True, I have.
Yeah.
I have. But then Buck tries calling Chimney, and he gets Chimney's voicemail, which is basically like, hey, like, I can't come to the phone right now, but, you know, give me a call back. Unless you're Buck, in which case, stop calling me. And you see Buck, like, despondently put his phone down. And then he takes a breath and he goes, Proby, where are you? And I thought this was so crazy because it's like the way bullying Ravi is literally Buck's coping mechanism. It's like self-harm, but he's harming Ravi.
It is.
He's harming like
It's because he sees so much of himself, like, in Ravi, like the way that he, like, more of an innocent sort of pure version of Buck 1.0 when he was just starting, like, very new and
bullying
experienced.
Ravi as a form of self-harm.
Ravi,
Buck
listen, I just saw Wuthering Heights a couple of weeks ago. It wasn't great. And you know, I think Buck, you know, looks at Ravi, you know, from across the station or whatever, and he says he's more me than I am, and that's sort of motivating this drive to, you know, cut off his head with a chainsaw. And they should just fuck it out, you know. They really should.
That's what you should do in these situations. But anyway, before he can psychologically torture Ravi anymore as an act of self-loathing, Bobby's like, hey, Buck, it's dinner time. And up in the kitchen, everybody else is like kind of vibing, you know. They're laughing, they're talking, they're setting up dinner. They're like all kind of, you know, ribbing Ravi about his heated rivalry with Buck. Buck comes over and he like sits down at the table and he's like, guys, before we eat, I have an announcement to make. I'm non-binary. Just kidding. That's what we wish had happened. That's what we wish had happened.
What he actually says is, let's all join hands. And then he says grace. Like a good little Christian boy. Exactly.
No, neither of those things happen. He sits down and he's like, guys, I've really appreciated being a part of the 118, but for the good of everyone, I've decided to put in a transfer request. And everybody just kind of looks at him like, what? What are you talking about?
Nobody buys it.
Nobody buys it for one fraction of a second. They're like, you know, I think Buck is like, I think Ravi is ready to fill my spot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Eddie can replace Chimney. Eddie kind of funnily is like, who's replacing me? And Buck's like, Bobby will figure it out.
Implying that Eddie lifts out the easiest out of everyone in the group, which we knew. We knew.
Which we knew. It's sad, but it's true. Everybody's kind of like, Buck, like, first of all, Bobby's like, you're not really the one with the authority to choose this, and Chimney is coming back. Why are you acting like this is permanent? Buck is like, everything's messed up now, and it's my fault. I made Chimney leave. And suddenly everybody's like, no, we all kind of signed off on Chimney leaving. Bobby says he encouraged him to go, and Eddie's like, yeah, I said it's the right thing to do. Hen says she offered to go with him. In this moment, I was like, I'm sorry. Buck is so stupid.
He's so stupid. He's the
so
stupidest boy.
God forbid he try to talk with anyone, even once, one conversation before making the decision that he's gonna. I feel like we all know people like this. It's like a type of like emotional immaturity where someone will be like, usually out of like self-loathing and stuff, they'll be like, I've made up my mind that I'm the problem here. So maybe this is like an avoidant attachment thing. I'm not really sure. I don't know that stuff that well. But like, I've decided that I'm the problem. So instead of like actually communicating with everyone, I'm just going to like make a drastic decision, assuming that it's for the best for everyone because I know better than everyone. And, they'll often make the wrong. I feel like we've even talked about this on this show before, but I can't remember, who about. It's just funny to me that like he didn't even try like asking any of them like, hey, how do you feel about Chimney leaving?
He's the literal embodiment of like, you know what they say about assuming, when you assume you make an ass out of you and me. I thought that talk he had with Taylor at the beginning of the episode would have like struck a chord with him, but it seems to have gone right over his head, like the stupid man that he is. They
even had that happen at the beginning of the episode. Why not have? Yeah, I don't really get it.
Yeah, I don't know about the structure of this one. It's interesting.
But luckily the 118 like know Buck well enough to just kind of dismiss this immediately out of hand and be like, oh no, yeah, like it's fine, you're not gonna do that. Like they kind of do the work for him.
But he's set this precedent now where he's such an unserious person that like he's so easy to dismiss, like when he starts making these big sweeping like life changes or whatnot without asking anyone. Imagine if he had like
when a little kid. It's sort of like when a little kid threatens to run away all the time, and eventually you're just like, yeah, sure, like whatever, go ahead. No, you're not gonna do that.
Oh my god, my sister tried to do that once. When she was a kid, she said, "I'm running away because you won't let me keep this lizard that I found," and so she ran away. And she ran into our treehouse, and she stayed there for, I want to say, about 2 hours, and then she came in to eat dinner. And then it was never spoken of again. Like, God forbid Buck has an actual crisis and is trying to voice it to these people, and they're just like, it's just Buck, whatever.
I mean, that is kind of what happens at the beginning of season 3, I guess.
Yeah.
That's the time where I felt like people weren't taking him seriously enough. But this situation, you're like, come on, Buck, just ask people before you start making sweeping assumptions about how they feel about you and whatever situation is at hand.
It's literally that, oh my God, all my friends hate me, like intrusive thought. And they're just like, what? Mm-hmm. No, we don't. That's stupid. You're stupid. Sit down and eat your spaghetti. You want some garlic bread.
So luckily he does.
Yeah, he does.
He finally is like, wow, I guess my friends do like me.
And then it's the moment that we've all been waiting for, where May Grant earns her stripes in a very interesting way. Because we go to the dispatch, and Claudette is, kind of, just telling a guy that his dog is in violation of leash laws. Don't know what that's all about. But
it's probably apropos of nothing. The guy called 911 and he was like, I've been shot. And she goes, well, your dog is in violation of leash code.
Imagine if she pulled a Gloria and said, you've been shot, but your dog's in violation of leash laws. Learn the rules and get the hell off my line. Hangs up on him. But
anyway,
May
it's
Grant
far more
gets
serious than that.
Emergency call. Yeah, so there's a teenage girl who's calling 911. essentially as a kind of last words. I get content warning, but essentially as kind of a last word sort of suicide note recorded, that will then be,
She
I guess,
knows
shared with
that
the public.
911
presumably.
calls are recorded, and so she wants to like leave this message for the bullies at school that have sort of driven her to a suicide attempt.
Yeah. So May is immediately talking to this girl. She says, all the people who voted against me for being the volleyball captain, feeding my insecurities about not being tall enough, my parents who I don't know. It's kind of hard to watch, to be honest, because you see this girl who's slowly overdosing on medication, on pills, talking to May as she slowly starts to lose consciousness. And May is,
and of course we know that May has personal experience with this.
Yeah, and she's
that
being
all
very by the
culminates
book
in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Claudette is already kind of starting to look over and keep an eye on her. Mm-hmm. And May finally, all this, her obviously identifying with this, and as the kid starts telling her, like, you're probably not even happy to be talking to me, you probably wish that you got a different caller. Finally, May says, I know how you feel. And Claudette comes over, mutes the call. She's like, you never tell a caller that you know how they feel, because you don't, and you're trivializing her feelings. And, obviously as the viewer and as May, we're like, how dare you talk to her about, how dare you assume, again, make an ass out of you and May, how dare you assume that she has never gone through this stuff? Because May unmutes the call and she goes to the caller like, I tried to kill myself when I was 14, and tells her a little story. Claudette, not to take away from the seriousness of the moment, but let's just say I wrote in my notes, Claudette gets totally dispatcher mogged by younger and more mentally ill May Grant.
She really
because
does.
May Grant, like, makes a fool out of her, shows that, like, that's why you don't assume that May Grant doesn't know what she's doing, or just at least, like, trust May Grant a little bit to figure out these things on her own, because she, in her young life, might actually have some experiences that give her some maturity that you don't even understand. And right as, like, Claudette is coming to terms with that, we hear over the phone, like, this team of paramedics or whatever kind of break through the bathroom door and attend to this girl and get her stabilized. And Claudette's like, how did you do that? And May says, you don't take pills somewhere where you expect to be found. She would probably be in her bedroom or the bathroom. So that's what I told the paramedics. Yeah,
that's a very important piece of information that May picked up on because of her personal experience with this, rather than Claudette, who's very doctrinaire and sort of leans onto her experience on the job.
And this is where Claudette says to her, she says, I know I'm hard on you, but it's because I can see you have the potential to be great. And then for some reason, she says to her, you ain't great yet.
And it's like, girl,
walks away.
Was that really necessary? Was that last line really necessary?
Imagine you've just heard about your coworker's history of attempted teen suicide, and you decide to be like, by the way, I only ride you so hard because you're good. But you're not good yet, bitch.
It's crazy because you could have had a genuine moment with her, and that's very frustrating.
Yeah, like I wouldn't have,
from a writing perspective,
I wouldn't have forgiven the prior actions, but I would have, if she had just said, like, I'm only so hard on you because I see potential in you, I would be like, okay, at least she's trying to soften the blow a little, or to give her some rationale for this. But then no, she can't even have a genuine moment of, like, admitting that she thinks there's anything good in me. She has to be like, by the way, I still hate you and you're still bad at your job.
And that's
okay.
Crazy. Am I wrong for thinking that this is a writing issue, and that it's like you couldn't leave well enough alone with this genuine sort of sincere moment with these
perhaps, two people? But also I think maybe you're trying to retroactively explain why you had so much empathy for her in the last episode.
Well, it feels like the writers are doing too much with this moment, like they couldn't leave well enough alone because they had to remind the viewer that Claudette's still a bitch. You know what I mean?
I do think that, yeah, they could have definitely just ended on that because you have potential thing, given especially what happens in the next scene, because then we see May again distractingly look like she's about to take a video of Claudette, but no, she's just looking behind her. I guess the reason she's been spying on Claudette like this is that Claudette is like holding court like right in front of May's desk, I think is supposed to be what's happening.
Yeah.
So May like gathers herself and walks across the room and comes right up to Claudette and says like, "Excuse me, you're in my way." And Claudette, seemingly now having gained a little respect for her by her standing up for herself, moves aside and lets May sit down. And May gets this confident look on her face as she answers a call. And you're like, okay. So yeah, what was the purpose of having Claudette still be super mean at the end of that interaction if this next beat is supposed to signify like May gaining the confidence to stand up for herself? It just feels kind of like two unrelated moments of understanding between them.
And the fact that they're right next to each other, it bothers me structurally.
I don't quite get what we're supposed to take away from that.
Yeah, to be honest, and this is going to sound like cope, but I swear to God it's genuine. The reason why I was like living for Claudette so much is A, because I'm a fan of Vanessa Williams, but also B, because I'm genuinely not a big fan of this storyline. I find it to be like redundant and spends a lot of time going in circles with these two characters, and I find it to be a bit of a waste of time. So standing Claudette is kind of a way of me making it entertaining for myself. But I
think it's fun like that. I think Claudette is a fun character. I think it's fun to have like some bitchy like older dispatcher like bullying May, but I still believe that she's in the wrong.
Yeah, and at the same time, like I it's just like the show is asking me to care about it, and like I kind of don't, because like I want to see like something interesting happen at Dispatch, you know what I mean? And so it's really not an interesting conflict in my opinion. And so it's been soured for me by the I guess the backlash to whatever. I don't know.
Sure.
But I do want to say that like I genuinely thought that the suicidal girl call was like it felt to me kind of sloppy in a way that I can't even put my finger on, because it's like you're using this girl's mental health crisis and suicide attempt as essentially a prop in this Claudette May war. And that feels kind of tasteless to me, even if it is tied into May's character in a big way.
Yeah.
I just don't appreciate that, because it feels trivializing. Of like I
could see the motivation for them wanting to be like, oh, how will we convince Claudette that May is mature? By having her find out about a traumatic event in her past. But yeah, it feels a little like, oh, if that's just going to be essentially like one little dig that May gets in at Claudette, like see, gotcha there. That does feel, I get what you mean.
Does May not have anything else the writers can fall back on? Like they couldn't have done like an Elle Woods at trial thing, you know? They couldn't have done like an Elle Woods at trial thing that her knowledge of like hair care products helps her solve a murder case or something like that. Like I'm not even saying it has
been necessary either.
I'm not saying it has to be that.
I think I would find that kind of trivializing, because it's like, okay, do we not have enough about May as a character that we just have to be like, she's a girl, so she knows about hair products?
Not literally. But, not literally. I mean, like something else from May's character that's like not as devastating as teen suicide. You know what I mean?
What I want to talk about is we end that scene with this implication that, okay, May has now stood up to Claudette, and now the bullying, you know, now Claudette is easing off of her, kind of just like Harry said would happen. And then we cut to this scene where Ravi is at the station, he's heading out, and Buck like says goodbye to him. He's like now being all buddy-buddy. He's like, oh, like, see you later, Ravi, you're my bro now. And Ravi says, hey, I just wanted to say, like, I'm honored that you picked me to fill your shoes, but I'm glad I don't have to, because I'm not you. I like being me. And he smiles and he walks away. So I think you kind of get that this is Ravi's moment of standing up to Buck. And just overall, this is the message I don't really like. It feels like part of the message of this episode is that standing up to bullies is what makes them stop. And it's like, yeah, this is basic schoolyard advice for how to deal with bullies. And also, like I was getting into earlier, I think this is kind of muddled by both of our examples being workplace bullying.
Yeah.
Because like I said earlier, I don't really think that you should have to deal with workplace bullying the way you would on the schoolyard. I think you should have systems in place kind of that do not tolerate any kind of workplace bullying, because you're not all here as like a social thing. You're here like under contract to do work for an employer, and you know, you all have the right to like a safe respectful workplace. So I don't really like this message that like, it's okay guys, just stand up to those meanies. It's like, well, I would love if like a boss or somebody could have stepped in and been like, hey, Buck, Claudette, like lay off. You need to respect your coworkers. So that's the problem I have. And it also like vindicates Harry's perspective, which is the perspective that got him suspended from school for punching another student. Like, it's just it's weird thematically. I don't think this was very well thought out.
I've always found like bullying to be kind of like a tricky issue for shows like this to tackle in general, because like on like a core fundamental level, it's just someone being mean to you for reasons that seem kind of unchangeable to them. You know what I mean? And like
in real life, if somebody's like being mean to you at work like this, obviously like in this show, it can be caused by a lot of things that might not even have much to do with you. And so, yeah, it's not really like a one size fits all thing that you can give advice about.
Yeah. And like,
I don't know.
Yeah. And like both of these examples that we're dealing with have the characters who are being bullied being dismissed by their superiors.
Yeah.
And so because of that, like, I don't really know what other approach the show could take in talking about this issue, but the one that they have gone with seems very juvenile, and very difficult to apply to like a real world scenario, and so for that reason feels very detached, and it becomes hard to get invested in my opinion.
I would agree, but where should we go next but the therapist's office, where Athena has been called to meet with the therapist and with Michael. Therapist is like, Michael told me about the other night. Sounds pretty bad. And Athena's like, yeah, we don't even know what to do anymore. It feels like nothing we say gets through to him. And therapist is like, that's why I think we should try something else. I am going to refer you to a different therapist. And Athena's like, what, you think Harry should see someone other than you? And this therapist just kind of interrupts her and goes, for you.
Yeah.
I thought this was so like chic of her.
It was very chic.
Let's just say Athena gets totally therapy mogged by the younger and more emotionally stable therapist. Because guys, don't cancel me for using terminology that originates in the incel community.
Oh God, not again. That's what I'm saying.
No Buck Tommies listen to this episode,
if they even still exist. Does qualified immunity extend to like potentially CPS involved cases? I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I don't really know where the line is, like where a therapist would call CPS. Like, I know some people have ideas about like a slap not being as bad as full-on corporal punishment, even though it is still corporal punishment. Yeah, I don't know. But basically, I kind of loved the way that, because like we were saying about the scene earlier being kind of frustrating, where it seemed like the show was not holding Athena accountable enough. I find it satisfying to see this lady just be like, for you're getting therapy because you need it.
It is a light punishment, but it certainly feels like a heavy punishment to Athena. So I guess that's satisfying. But then, we go from this scene of, Athena being confronted about hitting Harry and getting excuse the terminology, a slap on the wrist, to Taylor Kelly looking gorgeous, making mimosas as Buck comes home from his shift.
She made breakfast for Buck because she is appealing to his need to be the center of the universe and telling him, this is all about you. I did all of this for you, which, again, if I may, like, glaze Buck Taylor, Tuck, like, we know, like, one of the defining things of Buck is that he is kind of obsessed with himself, not in like a bad way, but he is very kind of like, he does think about him a lot. And I feel like, and he does have a lot of insecurities about, like, does everyone hate me? Can I be loved genuinely, to quote Bill Hader? And I think here, this is an example of Taylor being like one of the best partners we've seen to Buck, because she's actually being like, okay, like, drama queen, we're gonna make a thing that's all about you. Like,
kind
we're
and
gonna
patient,
be obsessed with you for a little bit.
That is also very sort of sweet. And, it's also got sort of a fun little like edge to it, like we're gonna drink these mimosas and we're gonna have something about you in a very tongue-in-cheek way, you big dummy. And Buck really is the guy who stands at the altar of his wedding, looking into his beautiful soon-to-be spouse's eyes and asks, hey, you like me, right?
Are you mad at me? Yeah. And watching this episode, I was suddenly unfortunately reminded of the Lucy storyline later in this season. And I was like, God, if beautiful Taylor Kelly was my girlfriend and she was making me mimosas in a gesture that was all about that, she would, if Taylor Kelly did this for me, I would never cheat on her.
Wow. Really makes you think, huh?
So think about that, Buck.
Think about that. But instead,
you didn't appreciate what you had.
We don't have time to think about it because we cut right back to Bobby enabling Athena. It's all that this scene is just Athena voicing how mad she was that Michael essentially assaulted her with this therapy session and this like confrontation that's so unreasonable and out of left field. And Bobby's like, yeah, he should have talked to you first. You go, girl. I got your back no matter what.
And she's still doing this thing of like, Jeffrey would be pleased to know his plan is going better. Like, she sounds crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gaslighting her now.
No, she sounds hysterical.
But it's genuinely, she sounds conspiratorial, paranoid, and it's just like, yeah. When this scene started happening, I thought something else was going to happen here. I thought Bobby was going to reveal that he actually like planned this with Michael or something. Like, I thought something, because like you said, by the end of the scene you're like, oh, it was purely just an enabling Athena scene. He's like, don't worry, babe, Jeffrey isn't winning, you'll get Harry back. And it's like, not that there's anything really wrong with that, but it's like, yeah, he doesn't address at all like, maybe it's a good thing for you to go to therapy, maybe you should unpack your feelings of anger towards your son.
Well, maybe Bobby wanted to say that to her. Maybe he wanted to, but he was too busy thinking about how much he loves the taste of boots, And so instead of that, we just get this awful scene where Bobby's essentially a mouthpiece for the writers and the producers saying, yeah, Athena, we got your back the entire way. And then the scene just ends. And the scene just ends, and you just see Harry despondently looking at an iPad, reading about bad press for Athena in the paper.
Which, like, the implication here, I think we're supposed to believe Athena's weird paranoia that Harry has been, like, fully Manson brainwashed by Jeffrey, and that him looking into Athena's crimes is supposed to be like, wow, like he's turning on Athena in a scary way because he's been indoctrinated by Jeffrey. When, like, as the viewer who's witnessed all of her crimes, you're like, yeah, I mean, he's waking up. He's like, it's true. She's pretty bad at her job and has done a lot of immoral things.
Yeah, and so he's just going to become this, like, evil, 4chaner, who hates his mom because he got kidnapped by a nearly convicted serial rapist and put in a wall.
They could sell this. They could sell this if they went more for like a, Harry was indoctrinated by Jeffrey's like misogyny and stuff, and like we have more of like an incel kind of narrative, which is kind of almost feels like what this is coded as, but it's like, it's crazy. They're trying to make him into like an incel, but instead of hating women, he hates cops. Which, like, dare I say, that's pretty different, right? Like, that's kind of not the same as a right-wing rabbit hole, because
don't you know?
The cops is not
ACAB
right-wing.
means assigned cop at birth, Jane. It does. That's what that little blue flag, that like blue line flag is for. It's a pride flag.
The cop pride flag. Ugh. So yeah, I think this is really bizarre.
Yeah.
I think if they wanted to get across this idea of like, oh, Harry was brainwashed, I don't get why they would focus it on like him being critical of Athena's actions as a cop, the one like valid thing you could get on her for.
But instead, you know, we just get that little ominous, you know, moment on the iPad, Michael snapping at him a little bit, and then we go to Buck awaking in the middle of the night with a call from an unknown number. It's Maddie. Jennifer Love Hewitt continues to earn her paycheck through the phone.
And she doesn't even care about like catching up with Buck. She's just like, why is Chimney in Utah? I would have loved if Buck just tried to lie and he was like, he's converting to Mormonism. But no. He's like, he came looking for you. I didn't tell him to do it, but he is. And she's like, wait, how do you know about that? And Maddie's like, he emailed me a video. GN started crawling. And Buck's like, please just tell me where you are. I can come get you, or I can send Chimney. And Maddie's like, no, I need more time. You know, I'm safe, but I need more time. And I gotta go. And then you hear these church bells tolling in the background, these conspicuous church bells. And then she like hastily hangs up.
And then he's like, I think I know where she is. And then we get like it's a punchline. We get the, if you or someone you know is struggling or in crisis, help is available. Call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, 1-800-273-8255, suicidepreventionlifeline.org. Every time this comes up at the end of an episode, especially if it's following a big dramatic cliffhanger, it feels like a punchline on the part of like the show's editors.
It is a little silly to do it right after the like just kind of not related to suicide, but just like plot. Yeah, but
the entire episode might as well be unrelated to suicide, you know?
Yeah. No, it's kind of extra trivialized, or it makes it more plain that it was kind of trivializing when you have to almost like think for a second and be like, wait, what was that? Like, why did they put that message at the end of this? What did the episode have to do with that?
Yeah, it's like, oh, here's the obligatory crisis hotline number that the network will get mad at us.
We might get in trouble if we didn't paste this on to the end.
Yeah. So how did you feel about this episode? I know we have to wrap up because we're over time, but how did you feel about this episode? I'm curious.
You know, in the moment, I didn't think it was too bad. And then honestly, talking it through with you, like I hadn't really been thinking about like some of the propaganda implications until we talked it out.
Yeah.
Or I appreciate you pointing out the perspective thing with Athena, because yeah, it's actually true that it's interesting that this big dramatic thing like offers pretty much no Harry POV.
Yeah.
kind of just makes it all about Athena. I found Buck's Robbie self-harm kind of funny. I liked the part where Eddie went, lucky for you, I'm an excellent dancer. But other than that, you know, yeah, I guess this wasn't the best one. Sorry, Nadia and Joaquin.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think the directing was off. I thought a lot of the creative decisions they made were pretty bad. I thought tonally it was like very discordant between scenes, and like overall this episode was a lot less fun than the last episode. The last episode that everyone got mad at me for saying I am for supporting Claudette in her war, but now I can't even support Claudette because that storyline stopped being fun because they made it all serious. And like I just want to like her as like a Sue Sylvester character, you know, like when you say like Sue Sylvester did nothing wrong, etc. Like that sort of thing.
Yeah,
but I can't.
I think this one hit a little too close to home for people. It wasn't quite exaggerated enough.
It hit too close to home for me. Are you kidding me? That fucking call, like with that May was responding to, I was getting very uncomfortable. The previous
episode.
Oh yeah, that one hit too close to home for people. I'm like, don't get me wrong, I get it. But like that episode, you can at the very least say was a lot more fun than this one. You know?
Yeah. And there was at least a little more benefit of the doubt for like whether Claudette is truly evil or whether she's just like a kind of difficult person.
Yeah, now it's just like she's just a completely mean, cold-hearted person, and I'm like, well, that's not really fun. That's not a fun villain.
Yeah.
You know? So it's whatever. I'm Team May. Go May Grant. You did nothing wrong.
Gaslighting Josh was nowhere to be found in this episode.
It's true.
Because I guess he realized he couldn't justify what Claudette was doing in this episode, so he decided to stay home sick or something.
Maybe Brian, he got wind of the script and he's like, I don't know how I'm going to queen out about this one. I
can't justify this anymore.
I'll just go to Puerto Vallarta
I'm on strike this week.
and go to war with the cartel. Do you guys hear about that? What's happening in Puerto Vallarta right now? All the gays who are staying at Soho House are having a very bad time. So that's interesting.
I did not hear about that. But thanks for listening to another episode. I hope you guys can forgive Ryan for his crimes. His many crimes.
That I don't apologize for. I make no apologies. I stand firm in my beliefs that last episode, Claudette, queen. This episode, May Grant, you took the throne, babe.
Well,
I love an underdog story.
We're in a period of fragile reconciliation of our queer platonic lavender marriage, and I want to keep it that way. Mm-hmm. So watch what you say, Ryan. And we love all of you. Thank you for commenting your dissent whenever you have it. Feel free to keep doing it. Tune in next week. We also will soon be recording our Patreon episode where we identify fanfic tropes on 911. Hopefully a less controversial endeavor.
I don't know. Fanfic is a very wide-ranging medium.
If you want to support us further, you can follow us on social media at First Respodcast, spelled how it sounds. And I already mentioned the Patreon, so do check that out as well. And remember to keep gaslighting, gatekeeping, and girl bossing, but more importantly, mansplaining, manipulating, and male wifing